You're watching this week's show with Dan and Mike.
This week's show podcast.
Hello.
How we doing, everyone? Let us know in the comments.
Yes. Get involved. We like to talk with you guys.
Well, especially on an episode like this, we are going to be doing a deep dive, which I think we're both quite excited for.
It's one of our favourite bands.
Yes. That's also there's three favourites, personals, and it's like a show favourite as well. We've got loads to talk about, but it's only sort of the details that we've drummed up, the things that we remember. So if on this deep dive you think there's something really important that we should have covered, if we get enough comments about things that we didn't cover, it gives us a chance to do this again, but with comment-driven a deep dive, which would be really fun to do. So, but before we do a big start, do the usual sort of check-in. How are you doing?
I'm all right.
Yeah.
Just got to get this next 6 weeks out of the way. Linking hate this time of year.
I mean, that's very understandable. I don't think you are even slightly alone. I'm not excited for this time of year.
Is it 2026? Yeah.
But this is like what a lot of people find post-Christmas, is your version of Christmas, which is post-Halloween.
Yeah.
So it's always a little bit
Then it drags on till February.
But we also, on a radio show, we're in a really interesting time where we're getting an idea what next year's music's going to be like.
And we've got to do the look back at what's happened this year, because there's been so many good albums and whatnot.
So we have a great time where half the time we're like, is that going to make it top 10 for this? No, release date's next year. So it's quite a fun time.
Makes a change. Oh, it was released last year.
But if you want to find out more about our show, give it a listen. It's 2 hours every week of new music. This man goes through hundreds of tracks a week sent from PRs, self-submitted, and just any way that people can get their tracks to us. Mike then considers everything, and we build a show from that point. We do interviews, like we've just done one that's just been released with Benji Webb.
Skindred in the house.
Which was a really fun one as well, because we talk about aspirations for Download headline, because it's something we've talked about a lot on this podcast, is Download in general, their lineup, but also the fact that there's been two bands that Andy Coppin has said in recent years should be headlining Download. There's Limp Bizkit, who are getting their flowers this year, or next year I should say.
Yeah.
And so me and Benji actually on the interview talk about that, and that's on our show. There is a link below. You can find it on Mixcloud, which is a free place to host so that you don't have to pay to listen to a bunch of people's music. Or if you just want to find out the tracks and just dig into the music that we put out on the show each week and you don't have Mixcloud, there are Spotify playlists as well that we have of all of the tracks that we play, including our features being Track of the Week, a cover track, because we have loved metal covers of pop tracks for years. And then there's also a positive mental health track, which has formed quite the playlist. If you just do that playlist, then
it's eclectic.
It really is, because we ask everybody, like Benji. You had a gentleman from Profiler that we haven't actually done that track yet, I believe.
We did one.
We've done one.
Benji's hasn't aired. But we've had Killswitch Engage.
We've had some really strange ones. Like, who was the one at Trees that was really fun to get? So one of your interviews at Trees, the guy was really, really into it and actually took the playlist, but I can't. We've done it with so many artists now, I can't remember off the top of my head. We've got old friends like Stitch D/Lee from Low Lives. He's given us a track as well.
John Mahon, who you can see at Wembley in a couple of weeks' time.
We've also taken fan submissions. Everybody that works on the show, being me and Mike and our manager Heidi, we've all put tracks in as well. And then, like I say, on the playlist, it's everything that's gone on the show, plus I think we started it with a few, so there was at least like
it's all this year.
Is that all this year?
Yeah.
Okay, so it must have been one of the previous
So
iterations.
we've got from the likes of Pantera through to Stevie Wonder.
Yes! Which, I wonder if there is actually another playlist out there that could cover that. But what's really nice is you get an insight to the people that we admire, so the likes of Benji Webb, or it was Joel from Killswitch.
And Mike from Killswitch.
And Mike from Killswitch. You also got Wayne from Hatebreed to give one as well.
And everyone we did at all the festivals dropped them.
And it's really nice just for all these people that we admire to see what they put on. And I know that when, because I use the playlist quite a lot, when I'm doing it, it's even if I don't know who it's come from when a track comes on, it's always quite interesting knowing that it's a positive track for somebody.
Yes.
And that's quite fun.
It's that one tune that gets them out of a crappy mood.
Yep, and a couple actually where, because I remember, I think it was Mode Step at Download, he went in the direction of the track to Get the Tears Out as well.
Yes.
So we've actually, people are taking this and running with it for whatever it means to them. We give them a very loose, it's a positive mental health track. It doesn't necessarily have to be a positive one. If it helps you get the catharsis that you need as well, then that's all right by us. So just a little information about what we did for many, many years before also starting a podcast. Because the radio show we started when the podcasting wasn't really even a thing, was it?
There wasn't a thing when I started the radio show back in 2008. It was only just on MySpace.
Exactly.
We did have I think it was Mike James, or the rock show on Phonic FM with Mike James at something like that I don't know.
So we come across some old posters when we're going through our vault from time to time, and seeing some of our old radio station names, or like you say, before it was strictly deemed Mike James Rock Show, it was the rock show on Phonic FM with Mike James.
Something like that.
It was very wordy.
Very wordy. And then we got a load of people to do drop-ins for the radio show and couldn't use them in the future because it was all so wordy.
We learned over years of holding up laminates to people. To begin with, we made the laminates really simple, and then we just decided to do away with it because whilst it was really funny, often watching people try and do it, we also don't like embarrassing artists, so we'd have a good laugh, but then it ended up not being the most repostable thing, I think.
Yes.
But we should at some point, and you can go back on our Instagram, it is still up, where it's just the two of us doing bloopers when we used to do a lot more sort of scripted to camera, and I can't do scripted. I just can't. So every time I tried, there are numerous times, I think my record was it took me 10 takes to do one promo link.
Then all you had to do is say, "Hi, it's Dan."
I mean, it was a little bit longer than that, but there was a lot of swearing on the ones which I didn't do right. But yeah, so that is just a little bit of history as to why we've got a lot of experiences with the band we're going to do a deep dive on. And we are talking, and you probably already know this because it's in the title, bio, and the picture on it is Enter Shikari.
The amazing Enter Shikari.
Well, I think a little bit more so for you because we were double checking. I've done one interview with them over the years.
In 18 years.
In 18 years. But it's also, if you look at the amount, sorry Mike, of Killswitch interviews, I've predominantly done the Killswitch ones. I'm not sure you've ever interviewed Trivium.
I have.
Before
before you joined, first download.
Same with Asking.
Yeah.
You got an Asking interview, but only before I joined, yeah.
I've never interviewed Parkway Drive, so when they headline Download in 2027,
yep.
That'll be mine.
The funny thing is
saving that one.
We've managed to talk to Winston quite a few times, and they've been really, really fun interviews. But they're just so popular now that it's like you get to a certain level and you just can't do standard interviews anymore because everything about Parkway is currently known. They're one of the bands that outlets report on. And I think in some ways the reason why we've not had the biggest amount of Shikari interviews over the last couple of years is they're also at that stage where they've got to really debate and work out whether it works for the band doing an interview and whether there actually strictly is anything to talk about that isn't already on a news article somewhere or a general release that everybody knows about.
Or on their own socials. Because
we'll get to how self-managed they are these days in a bit, but yeah, Shikari, Mike, it was one of the earliest interviews that I know about you doing.
I think it was probably my second or third interview for the show back in 2008.
Ever.
It was me and John LeBon. He was my co-presenter along with another guy called Dan.
He's got a thing for Dan's on the show. I'm the only one with two ends.
Yeah, just to differentiate. But yeah, me and John went and interviewed them before the show. The radio station had even moved into its permanent studio.
Wow. That is a long time ago.
2000 November. It was. I think the correct date was something like the 29th of October, 2008, at the Great Hall in Exeter, and there was so much going on in the dressing room at the time that I think it was me, Chris, and Rory and John. So there's 4 of us. Went to the green room toilet cubicle and just put the microphone on the closed toilet lid and just talked down into it, so it muffled, stopped anything from bouncing around and sounding like we were in a cubicle. And that's what we did.
I mean, we've had a few of these random location ones, but I think that one is in the running for possibly the weirdest location of an interview.
It was definitely the first one of the weird ones, because like the couple of interviews before that were very sit down at a table or in the dressing room kind of thing.
I imagine your mind was a bit blown, because obviously you knew who Shikari were before you went to go and see them, because they've always crossed over the genres that you like.
Well, especially in 2008, they were like one of the hottest buzz bands around. They sold out the Great Hall, which is 2,000 cap, roughly.
And just to give you perspective, they'd only been underneath the name of Enter Shikari, and let me just check the details, from 2003.
When Rory joined.
They had been, interestingly enough, since 1999, called Hybrid.
When they were just kids.
Just kids. It was a 3-piece, but they did manage to release one EP called Commit No Nuisance, which is...
And it was that and their debut album, which was all recorded in a shed at the end of their manager's garden, which is Keith, which is I think Rau's dad. And he managed them for a fair few years. I don't know if he's still with them now, like day-to-day management, but
probably still part of the team.
He's probably if he's part of the inner circle.
Well, what I find really fun, so I was looking into it, is on that first album, Take to the Skies from 2007. That being one of the tracks that had actually been released on one of their digital and available only at gigs things. They had no distribution network for their first EPs, but they were on the early sort of get it from a website type of people, is you could download it, and they were one of the first ones, apparently, according to the research I was doing, that actually released EPs that way.
Yeah.
But you're right, Sorry You're Not a Winner got so popular on like their touring circuit scene. It was one of those like, we're going to pluck it for an EP, we're going to stick it on the debut album, because it's, I mean...
Oh, exactly.
I think it's one of those things that if you're not necessarily sure what we're talking about, it's the one that you clap to.
It is.
It's almost like it's never going to be as popular as the Friends intro, but in metal culture, that clap is just one of the...
Everyone always does it too soon. It's got like it's like, oh no. Then the beat kicks in, and it's is it 3, is it 4, is it 5? Who knows? We'll just clap away anyway.
And as far as I remember, the last couple of shows we did, they do like a medley of early work, don't they, to include stuff like that. So
yeah, well, when they played Reading a few months ago, they did Sorry You're Not a Winner all the way through.
Nice. And I love that, because we've had medleys. We even talked on a previous podcast about getting their quadraphonic sound at Trees on their cover of Faithless and something.
Yeah, well, the whole show had quadraphonic sound.
But we only went into the point of getting it because it was a bit lively in there, because it sounded amazing for...
2018?
Yes.
2000 Trees is the only time you've interviewed them.
And it was that one. And funnily enough, at that point, I was so politically obsessed, half the interview was talking about politics, which makes sense for Shikari anyway, because they're super political.
But not in an over-the-top kind of way. That, like, the lyrical content and stuff is definitely like left-wing, but it's more social commentary than you must vote this way or that way. Like.
Well, what I put it down as, from doing my research earlier, is they're very anti-corporation culture and anti-billionaire culture. That doesn't necessarily mean that they disagree with sort of just the way of the world in general. But I find myself agreeing with an awful lot of points that they make when it comes to anti-corporation and anti-billionaire culture. Because I am one of these people that I think that when you make your first billion, I've stolen this from a meme, when you make your first billion, you should be given a gold medal, a kiss on the head, and then told that you've won capitalism, and then somebody names a park after you. And that should be the only billionaire culture, because it's just, to me, you don't, thank you AOC, you don't make $1 billion, you can only take $1 billion. That should be shared out across everybody in a company. Like Musk is a great example, is some of the smartest people in the world.
Well, he's beyond that now, isn't he? He's just going to be the world's first trillionaire.
And that is absurd. I mean, we should just call him Smaug and get him out the mountain, because he's a dragon sitting on the world's finances. And there is nothing, like they're going to have to create something really expensive for him to buy, because there aren't things expensive enough, unless he just wants to go off and buy a country.
Well, he did that.
There we go.
Yeah, but it didn't work out very well for him.
I know what you mean now, sorry.
Roll back about 12 months ago when he was literally giving away £1 million if you registered to vote in America. $1 million, sorry.
Yeah.
And he, that's 3 seconds of breathing for him.
It is insane, the amount of money. But we are getting a bit distracted, and we do try and make sure that the product that we put out doesn't necessarily have a huge amount of it, because, I know what it's like to have a following and then destroy it over your political standing, and we would much rather just
have the billionaire.
Just basically focus on music rather than anything else, because there are certain people out there, like, I'm not going to name any names, but bands that probably are a bit more the capitalist culture, right-wing sort of thing. We still promote their music because it's about music, not necessarily the people. That being said, if you commit crimes and don't, sort of serve your time and stuff like that, then no, you're not getting your music played. That is it. But yeah, one of the things which I found super interesting is, we said that the debut album was out in 2007. You've said that only a year afterwards they were selling out the Great Hall in Exeter, which, that's quite impressive for a band on their first album to do in our hometown, even that long ago. But when you look at the fact that they were a highlight of download in 2006 and they sold out the London Astoria.
Oh, rest in peace, the Astoria.
Yeah, right.
What a venue.
Amazing. But to have that before you've even released an album, I know I always bring them up, but one of the only ones that comes to mind was Bullet, that had a very different start, where Bullet were that popular because they got signed by a talent scout on like their third gig.
Well, I'll go back to how we started the show. It was MySpace.
Yeah,
Shikari were huge. It was more Shikari space than MySpace.
It was basically, you either like Lily Allen if you were pop on MySpace, or if you were heavy, it was Shikari. But I forget that because it's so long ago since MySpace.
When you could literally go on and talk to the artists themselves, because they didn't have an idea either that you needed PRs to run your
or like
socials.
A ghost writer or manager writing back. But we also saw that type of success in local bands when we had a local band live together so that they could respond to Twitter and do parties on Twitter and stuff like that.
Back in the day.
It's less common to do stuff like that these days because you just don't need to. The access is there supposedly to everyone, and I tried tagging Chris Clancy the other day because since he's joined As I Lay Dying, I have been obsessed with the one track that they've released with his vocals, because genuinely I think I'm actually in love with his voice. But I'm probably not the first person to try and tag him in a story to tell him that. I didn't send him a message, I just tried to tag him in a story. Yeah, he's disabled it from for most people, because when I think you join a band like that, suddenly you're going to get a lot more messages. So
love or hate.
Love and hate, yeah. But what we were saying about Crimes, if you know As They Lay Dying's history, he served the time, so I'm happy to play his music. That, what to me, and I've said this many times on the show, is if you do the time that society requires of you for the crime, then I think you should then be treated the way that you have been, which is you've done the thing that you were asked to do to pay for the thing. And for us, it's just literally making sure that we play new releases. So it's not much effort from us anyway. But I was going to say, one of the big interviews I remember more so than the toilet cubicle one, but I think it's because...
Well, you weren't there.
Well, no, I think, but also...
You had to be there, man.
You did film the other one, I think, in 2013.
Oh, I thought you meant the cubicle. No, we did not film in the toilet cubicle.
But I think you got footage or photos of the one where you guys are sat round...
Just in a circle, picking daisies.
Early show interviews are so much fun.
Well, they played Plymouth University, and it was them, Hacktivist, and someone else I can't remember at the time.
But still, them and Hacktivist, what a show!
It was a bop.
Especially because that would have been what Hacktivist's first lineup.
Yeah.
Oof. I mean, we remember what that lineup was like.
2013, I think it was, and
beautiful.
Yeah, it was just a nice April sort of Eastery type time, and we decided to sit outside.
Why not?
We just sat there cross-legged in a little circle on the grass, did an interview, and then Hacktivist came and joined us as well and did exactly the same.
I mean, doing little sort of camp sit-downs, it was a thing at the time, because you did that quite a lot with The Defiled, where I remember being at the Fleece and none of them wanted to go on camera, so we all just sat in a circle with a microphone in the middle.
Yeah.
And didn't Stitch have to keep remembering not to turn his hairdryer on? Because we were doing the interview and he was like doing the back combing
Probably sounds like something that Lee would do, yeah. Back combing in.
I mean, I think it was him that posted a picture of his previous self at one point and went, "I am genuinely so pleased I don't have to put in this effort anymore to look this way." Interesting, after that interview before the next one being mine in 2018, it was for me Minesweep that sort of got me into them, because I always knew who they were. But because I hadn't been part of the uprising, as it were, it was a bit confusing, because like there was this fully formed like sort of culture and like following and almost cult of Shikari at one point. And unfortunately, at that point in my life, I was very angry about being told to like things in the world. So I decided that I was going to do the opposite and just go, I'm not going to pay much attention. Then Minesweep came out, and particularly, I think you're going to know what track really hooked me in off of that album, because it's Last Garrison. But that also comes...
It was the very first tune we played when we joined Hard Rock Hell Radio. It was the first tune of our first show on that station.
There we go. So...
We're still going.
Yeah, they're not. That's
really.
What happens when you charge bands to play your festival. Anyway, the thing which I remember most about that, though, was... my first like sort of memory of properly paying attention to Shikari. I remember you were giggling because you're like, this is the only show where you're not going to understand what their live performance is about, because it was that health scare one at Download 2015.
Oh yeah, because the Kerrang Awards happened
and there was
a couple of days beforehand.
There was like an allergic reaction or something.
That's what they said, but
yeah.
Looking back, when you do the research now into it, it's more of a mental health break that caused it.
And understandably, because they were on, like, that album exploded them even bigger.
Yeah, and the Kerrang used to do awards, and it was a big event, because it was just literally, it was like, Kerrang was before Download Festival.
On like the Wednesday or something, wasn't it?
Wednesday or Thursday, I think.
Yes, that was it, because you couldn't.
And then on the
early.
Monday would have been the Metal Hammer Awards, because all the acts were in the country, so you'd have the earlier acts before they flew off back into Europe at the Kerrang Awards, and then the second lot would be at the Metal Hammer Awards, and now there's not any awards at all.
No, RIP all awards. But yeah,
you don't need that vindication. You've got social media now.
There are, like, awards were nice, but it was also we feel for the last award ceremony that we supported being the Heavy Music Awards, because they were getting so popular, but it's so difficult to run a once a year event, keep interest in between those times, and the thing that we always talked about is what point in the year do you do an awards ceremony? Like, do you do it in January when nobody's in the country?
That's the kind of season, isn't it? It's sort of February, March time is awards. If you think like Brit Awards, BAFTAs, Oscars, all those kind of film awards and music awards, they all sort of happen in the first couple of months of a new year, because then you can look back on the past year and you can remember it. Whereas unfortunately, I think with the Heavy Music Awards, they were doing their awards in August for albums that could have come out 18 months ago. By then, by the time those awards happen, an artist could be nominated but have another album out since.
This is the thing, and we always felt for them, because we were judges for a couple of years and various things like that. And like, we chatted to the guys. We even did an OG interview podcasty thing on a previous podcast that we did, where they said, they also, when you're competing with other like awards, one, when are you going to get the venue access? But also they had the big thing of, when can we get all of the bands that we would like to try and get here, where we don't then have to pay loads of bands to come across? But that's when they sort of trade secrets. They would pay the frontman to come across. So it was one plane ticket, not 5, or like there were certain ways that they were trying to do it.
Well, plus having it in August, it was the bank holiday, so it was Reading Festival, but Reading doesn't really have that kind of lineup anymore. It's
not
more
every year.
Not every year,
but
but
it can have days like we did last year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like there used to be the lock-up at Reading, which was all the alternative bands, whereas now it's 3 or 4 bands on one day, which we did this year.
The stage changes name, I think, so it's the pit when it's the heavy day, and it's something else on another day, which makes it really hard to run. But Shikari were a big supporter of the awards, whether they were actually nominated or not.
Well, they won some, didn't they?
They did win some, but they were also a band, probably due to the fact that they're, in the London area. They were probably a little bit easier to get there because they actually lived where the awards were being hosted.
St Albans to the
Coco was
the good one, wasn't it?
Anyway,
Just Camden.
So that went off on a bit of a digress, but the thing I was going to say about the 2015 performance is Rou had only just, I think it was even that day, got out of hospital.
Discharged himself for the show.
And I thought that it was amazing. Like, he was vocally incredible. But you were laughing, going, is this what you think Shikari is? And I was like, well, yeah. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, this is like probably the best vocal performance that you had heard from Rou. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, normally he's running about far too much to be able to commit to all of the massive screaming lines that he did for that particular performance. But having now watched Rou properly perform many times since, I would take energetic Rou that doesn't necessarily always scream for the full length of time, because he's so engaging and so amazing to watch on stage. It genuinely reminds me why I'm not a front man. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know how he can put himself into that mind state, have that energy, and just he has that type of performance that gets people whipped up. I'm not saying the rest of the band don't do the same, because they're all pretty lively and they're very well liked. And I think it helps when it's been the same 4 members since 2003.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's one of those ones, like, natural showman, and just knows his crowd very, very well.
Well, that also shows for this year, because they haven't done a lot of live shows.
True.
Which hopefully means that they have been writing and producing and stuff. But they've also had side projects, because Rou was in the touring production of War of the Worlds.
I remember that.
Earlier in this year. That was like about a month, and they did, there were some other names in that from sort of TV, film and music, because Charlie Simpson from Busted and 5 Star and...
Not President.
He's
definitely not in President.
He's not the front man of President, no. He was in War of the Worlds as well. So
nice.
It's like, but yeah, there was an interview I did with Rou in the pandemic.
We've got to talk about this
on
one.
album release day. And that's where I found out that he's a multi-instrumentalist, and he did all the trumpet and wrote all the string sections and is happy conducting an orchestra.
Yeah, as well as being the guy behind Sparky as well.
Yes.
General electronic production, and he was the original guitarist before Rory, which is something I found quite interesting. But we got to break it down, because I remember listening to that interview, because 2020, me and Mike had some...
It was a bit of a grim year, wasn't it?
Like the whole world obviously had a bit of a grim time. We had a very interesting experience as interviewers and journalists, because we were working at the time. I was definitely out on the road. Were you out on the road at that point?
No, I was working from home.
Yeah. And so both of us were quite lonely. We hadn't seen each other in person for the longest time, I think, of the history of the show. I was recording my half of the show in my ex-girlfriend's kitchen because there was nowhere else that we could record. We actually ended up getting quite good at the Zoom show.
Yeah.
But I know that I had some very meaningful interviews with people like, say, Matty Mullins was one that really stood out for me. And I know that this one, because wasn't it like one of the only ones he actually did that day was chatting to you?
On that day,
Yeah.
I think so, because it was a lunchtime interview as well. 'Cause
Yeah.
it was album launch day.
And he was in his PJs, I think?
It was, I can't remember. He was definitely relaxing, not being on tour, kind of at home with his cats, because his cat was more popular than he was on Instagram for a moment,
That's
which
very
is always the way.
My cat's more popular than me, to be fair. But the thing I remember is because we had to edit it and like take the ends off the interview, is I remember whether it was in the interview or not, I don't know if it was just something he said to you afterwards, but I remember him saying, and I'm paraphrasing, it's not the exact wording, that he was very grateful to you for making him feel like it was album release day. Because obviously, like, you had history interviewing him anyway, but just the amount of excitement that you had for the new album. And
I don't think
like
I'd actually spoken to someone physically for about 3 days.
But I remember him being so grateful. Then that was, for me, I think that album and then the one that came afterwards, because that would be Nothing Is True and then A Kiss for the Whole World. That's when they started getting that like kudos from the industry, even more so, where huge bands were paying attention to the Shikari releases finally.
Well, A Kiss from the Whole World was their first number one.
Yes, well,
But it also projected them to be able to headline Slam Dunk that year as well, which was awesome.
And to be fair, we love it. It's like, I think we have different tracks that we come off of the Shikari album necessarily liking, but that's because what they do is quite varied. But yeah, to me, they've always been a very fascinating one to watch, particularly when you see them, away from cameras and stuff like that. Is they have nothing but time for everybody that comes up to them, even as famous as they are now.
Yeah.
Even though it's been like 20 years of people coming up to them going, "Oh, I love your band." But they're so patient and so lovely.
Just down-to-earth guys.
And Rou, frequently, if it's Slam Dunk or if it's Reading or even like Download and stuff like that, he's often just the guy that's there, whether he's playing or not.
There was that one year when I had a photo with him. He was either playing or at a festival, so I've got like 6 or 7 photos through the whole year of me just...
Slight hair progression.
Yeah, of me just walking up behind him going, "All right," it's like, "Oh, you again, selfie time." And then like 3 weeks later at different festivals, like, "You again." I think it was the year that they did Boomtown.
Yes.
Because then we were on the side of the stage for them. And it was just like, "You again."
I'm going to explain how we worded it at the time, because it was really funny to annoy everybody. So Shikari at Boomtown played 2 sets.
Well, Enter Shikari played 1 set. Shikari Sound System played a set later on in the night.
And we were just with Earache, because it was the Earache stage. We were just backstage for the whole weekend with those guys, because there was no press area. Well, we did find the press area, but we can't talk about what we got up to in that press area.
What happens in the press area stays in the press area.
But we were backstage at the festival stage for the whole time, and so it meant that when Shikari did their sound system set, we could literally be side of stage. So of course, me and Mike took loads of footage and posted it. Now, I genuinely would still do this if I could be bothered, but I love winding people up. We know this, and I love winding general internet people up as well. When it comes to my personal one, that's why I always post stupid memes. So I worded it that we were side of stage for Boomtown's Saturday night headliner. But I worded it in such a way that it didn't say that we were side of stage for the Enter Shikari set. No, we were just side of stage with the sound system one on a much smaller one.
But their sound system is awesome, because it's like just dubstep, drum and bass, remixes and stuff.
And a chance for them to let loose a little bit more, because Rou doesn't need to sing as much because of...
it's more of an MC hype man then.
Yeah, and he just gets to run around like a lunatic, which is some of the footage I remember he saw you were filming, and then he started interacting with just your camera, which, again, such good memories of silly stuff like that. Is there anything that you can think of that we may not have covered so far?
There's the book, Dear Future Historians. It came out in 2017.
Wow,
that was with the like an accompaniment to the album because it was a full story. So that was something quite cool.
I love the note. One of the ones says, because we set our manager a challenge on these deep dives to find anything she finds interesting, and we realised that for Shikari it was a lot of similar stuff. But something which she didn't realise, but we've kind of always known, is the fact that the Sorry You're Not a Winner video was actually Chris Patton's parents' living room.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you've known Shikari for a long time, it was famously a parents' living room. But I like the fact that even 20 years on from, roughly 20 years on from that being filmed, it's still interesting that it was one of the parents' living rooms. It's a bit like, was it Slipknot with Duality where they took over somebody's living room? And
it's just gone on the market recently.
Well, that house?
Yeah.
Amazing.
In Des Moines.
I mean, I like to, though it's a bit like, have you seen the modern pictures of the Home Alone house? The one that is in the first movie.
I try to avoid Christmassy things.
Okay, but it just, you can see the old house in there, but it's been like fully overtaken and modernised. I'm not sure that I, personally, this is just me, I would be able to enjoy something if it didn't look the way that my nostalgia told me it was going to look. So that Slipknot living room would still have to be gutted. And there would still have to be, you know, Corey's spit on the floor. And I'm saying spit because that would be the lightest of bodily fluids on the floor from that era of what they did. Because, I mean, like, talking about masks, we were laughing about the Halloween one because your nose ended up being out the back of your head after that one. And the mask I wore, I actually had to get resized because my head is just that big. Physically as well as arrogance. But Slipknot deliberately would wear masks that were too small and like painful because it was part of getting in the mindset of that early Slipknot.
And then they'd all throw up in their masks.
But
we can deep dive Slipknot.
I think we should, because I need to do some research as to how much of that's a myth and how much of that is like the one time that Corey was feeling ill and accidentally threw up in his mask.
Oh no, apparently they did, because there's that one live footage thing where they are wringing out their masks after the show and it's like blood and vomit lumps.
But I do wonder, because obviously that's the one, whether that's the one thing that led to, because it's a bit like Ozzy being known for biting heads off bats. Rest in peace, Ozzy.
A-Bat.
It's A-Bat. It's not that he did it loads, and it's not that he did it intentionally. He thought it was a toy prop, and that he was just biting the head off a plastic bat.
Just wondering if they're going to make his son do something like that because he's in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
That would be bad taste. I think that would be very bad taste.
It's got to be better than some of the things those contestants have got to eat.
Yeah, no.
Not even sheep's anus.
I'm not normally into that type of game show, but I admire the celebrities that know
that have fallen that far.
But are willing to put themselves through that to see what. Because, I mean, I love the fact that Peter Andre basically managed to get another single to come out and get popular by pretending to write it in the jungle. Whereas he had written the whole thing already and was just pretending to. And it was clever. Like, I like clever things. But they do put themselves through it. That's the one thing that you've got to say about I'm a Celeb, Get Me Out of Here, is it's not light things that they're asked to do, which is, just a little bit nasty.
Yeah, we're going to lock you 12 feet underground in a small little coffin, fill it with mealworms and ants and snakes. And,
you're going to get bitten, but it's not too poisonous that you'll die, you know.
Yeah. But if you can survive that, then you might get some rice for lunch.
It's crazy. And that when it's that level, you, like I say, you got to kind of, it's a bit like when Buzzcocks was in its heyday. I respected anybody that actually had the balls to go on Never Mind the Buzzcocks.
Against Mark Lamar.
Or against Simon Amstel as well. Because he was brutal as well.
Mark Lamar, I think, was the OG.
He was definitely the OG. I think, I don't know what Simon Amstel actually did, or Mark Lamar afterwards, because...
Mark Lamar was cancelled before cancellation, basically, and Simon Amstel's just a stand-up comedian now.
I mean, I loved him on that show, but you can tell at points that it was the best of him, but also probably some of the worst of him, because he had to fill Mark Lamar's shoes. And then when you're on a show that's controversial, it's a bit like what Frankie Boyle talks about quite a lot these days, is he actually ended up finding his role on Mock the Week a bit of a curse, because he had to be dark, because he was known as being dark, and he had to be controversial because he was known as being controversial. And one of my favourite lines from him, or like from recent times after all of that, was when he was stood on Taskmaster, like in one of those really silly bodysuits with like things stuck to him, and he was like, so at this point in my career, I wish I had had maybe one or two less controversial jokes, so I don't have to stand here looking like this. So he's got a good sense of humour about it. But yeah, it's very, very difficult to, I think, do that type of thing and play that role. And bands have the same thing. Like, I'd say Shikari, if they lost their passion for politics, they would probably still feel the need to have that, because it's been something like even Reading this year, Rou was still making points on stage.
Oh, he still has his 5 minutes without the band playing.
Yes, but that's because they love doing it. But I imagine that there's sometimes, I wonder if they do think, would it be nice if we didn't have to be these people? Because it's the thing that I'm understanding about content creation having a online personality is, when something works, you're like, do I double down on it, or do I try and stay varied? And you can see it with wrestlers that they either stay in the same theme or they have to reinvent themselves.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I'm at the stage of my life where I'm too old to bother reinventing myself, so you're stuck with this version, ladies and gentlemen. But speaking about previous versions of oneself, we have decided that From the Vault this week we are going to do yet another one that is no longer on our YouTube channel.
That's understandable. That's
Yes.
how a real vault would work.
Yes.
Nothing's on show.
I think me and you, post watching this one, are probably going to have to tear shreds off of me from like the 30 seconds I watched of this interview, because it's not bad, but I think it's still Notepad days. I think it's that old where I literally have a notepad and I keep referring to it. So we're going to have to tear shreds off of Dan.
Okay.
In the past on the From the Vault.
Well, tune in later in the week.
And you know how you can make sure you do that without any effort? You just got to hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell, and then you get updated with everything that we do. Don't forget also to check out our radio show below. And, well, come across to our social media, because there's things that aren't on this channel that you can see there, behind the scenes stuff about Botox and various things like that. So make sure you come across. I think that's it for this week.
Peace.
See you next time.